Welcome back, everybody, and this time I do mean back, because I'm here alongside of these gentlemen, these gracious gentlemen known as Jacob Pimp Finicky and Matthew Maniac Gutierrez. Now, we are ready to get things okay, I probably
really butchered that one.
How bad? How bad? On a scale of like 1 to 10, how bad?
Like real bad, real bad.
Honestly, I think
it's not even your name.
No. By Trace's scale, we're getting better. We're probably like a 5 to 10, 5 on 10, something like that. We're getting better because you went from Maniac, Matthew Maniac to somewhere else. That's getting better.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'll take it.
Getting by easy today, Trace. It's fine.
Somebody said that C's get degrees, and I don't know if that's applicable here, but maybe it is. So perhaps we'll look into that one a little bit further. Albeit, guys, we got a day full of matches, and we're starting to get down to the nitty-gritty, and dare I say, even the end of the DreamHack Master Spring 2020. Today, we're going to be featuring Navi versus FaZe, Liquid versus Gen G, and MIBR and Cloud9 is the last game of the day. So all around, we've got hot stuff coming up in the brackets on the tube for you to watch. So, guys, right off the top, give me some of your favorite memories. Let's just talk a little bit about your whole lives, not to include, but not limited to, this tournament itself.
I mean, we have shared a lot of memories, you and I together, Trace, at many DreamHacks throughout the time. I remember last year we were doing the Malmö event together, I believe, and that was Malmö. That was a great event, surely. Today, we don't get to play it on LAN. Today was the day where we were supposed to go into the Schönköping Arena, whatever it's called, and however you pronounce it. But we had a fantastic tournament so far, and I think by looking at the brackets, by looking at the teams that we've seen so far, everyone has actually come into this tournament at a very high level. I think a lot of the teams are respecting the fact that this is one of the biggest tournaments we have on the online circuit right now. And you heard G2 say it yesterday in the interviews, they want to win this one. They want to beat Navi, and they want to claim their spot as being the best team in the world. So despite this being under, let's say, some unfortunate circumstances, these teams coming into this tournament, they're still taking it very, very seriously, especially G2, who want to make a point, maybe even make a case for them being the best team in the world as of right now.
And Maniac, I think he nailed it right there on the head when he said Schönköping. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah. I think it's Schönköping. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
that's how you say it. No, listen, these are hard times we're in. I just think it's great that esports can come together and we can still provide some entertainment. DreamHack is doing a fantastic job at that. I'm very glad to be here. I mean, I miss you guys. I would like to be able to fist bump you at the beginning of every segment, but we cannot do that. Not you, Jacob. I'm talking to Trace, obviously.
Sure.
But yeah, we're still having a good time. We can still celebrate Counter-Strike. We can get excited on our sofas instead of in the green room, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, and you know who can't get excited? And moreover, what they can really actually find themselves doing right now is malding. The Mauled Lions, the Mad Lions, that is. They're out. They're done. They got finessed yesterday so hard by Navi that it hurt their souls. We could see it, but obviously they knew what was coming. When Simple was popping off like he was, there's simply no stopping the force that is not as sincere.
It was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous by Simple yesterday. Let's be honest. We know he's the best player in the world, and we know he's just better than everyone else. But yesterday he performed one of his best games ever. Putting off so many frags, putting on such a decisive victory on a map like Mirage as well. He was good in the pistol rounds. He was good with the AWP. He was good with the M4s we see as well. He did everything yesterday to claim the throne back as being the undoubtedly best player in the world. When you put up a performance like this, you just gotta bow down and you gotta respect it. And I think Mad Lions knew that yesterday. When Simple is showing up like he was yesterday, there's no winning against Navi. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think we could have put any team against the Navi at that point and they would have eaten the same meal. They would have been destroyed the same way. And I really appreciate it when Simple in the interview said, I have a lot of pressure on me. People expect me to perform. They expect me to be a star. And it feels good when I'm able to deliver that. So I think we don't always understand how it is to be in the mind of Simple, to be one of these players which everyone is expecting you to pop off every single time, because that's what we do. And I include myself in that community. I expect him to do simple things all the time. So it builds pressure. He has a lot on his shoulders, but really he delivered that game.
Yeah, and I think the idea that you're trying to explain is managing expectations. And for Simple, this is a guy that's been touted as the one that is the showstopper, the actual, guy that comes in here and he will get crazy stuff done, even if he has to do it all himself, or if Electronic and him, or the Batman and Robin. Regardless, it is a little bit of managing expectations, because I don't think it's fair that Sasha has been held to such high standards. I mean, he's shown us higher standards, but damn, come on, guys, give him a break. Either way, it doesn't matter. Yesterday, he does show us exactly.
No, actually, I completely disagree with you, Trace. I think when you are as good as Simple is, then you gotta expect the public to expect a lot from you as well. And I think that's Big part of why Simple is as good as he is as well. He's driven, and he drives from the motivation that us experts, you know, the fans out there constantly put on him. I think if the crowd and if the people out there and if the community in general will be like, yeah, we know Simple can be the best player in the world, but we'll let him off if he has a bad month or a bad game, then he wouldn't get as ignited, he wouldn't get as motivated as he is constantly 24/7.
Yeah.
One of the things,
but then Jacob, you're speculating there. You're speculating there on behalf of Simple. Now you're just thinking in his mind. But anyway, carry on.
Nah, sure, Trace, but that's just a fact of the matter, right? When you look at some of the most motivated individuals in the world, they gotta face, you know, they gotta get motivation from somewhere. And I know Simple for a fact is a guy that thrives well when there's a lot of pressure on him. Of course, it's tough. Of course, it's not always fun. And at some point, you'd like to just put a stop button. But when you are in a position when you're the best player in the world, when you're the best at what you do, that's a pressure that just comes naturally with it. And he's shown us consistently that he can deal with that pressure. So what I'm trying to say here, Trace, is it's a big compliment because none of the players out there that has been the best in the world are the best anymore. coldzera, nowhere near being #1. Device, you know, he's still consistently good, but Simple is the one player who's been one of the best players in the world for his entire career almost, and I think that deserves a lot of praise.
It has been a pretty big roller coaster of a ride to watch Simple play up and down, whether he's doing great, whether he's doing just good, or even a little above average. He's still out there delivering in the server. Now, of course, for the other side of things, you began to talk a little bit about some of the turns and twists that we have. The ninjas in pajamas, now out of the running. Let's begin to talk a little bit further as to some of the things that we've seen. A FaZe clan move on. We now get FaZe versus Navi, but this is kind of a sombering and sad story for me. When I look at this NiP lineup, I thought, okay, perhaps there's a chance that this NiP lineup can push it even further, push that envelope within the brackets.
I mean, they could have. They definitely could have. And if you think about that Inferno game versus FaZe, if you think about the round that actually pushes them out of the tournament, you cannot help but be a little bit disappointed, be a little bit sad for them if you're a NiP fan, obviously. But then you think about the big picture and you think of where NIP was a couple of months ago, a couple of years ago, in the absolute desert of nothingness. It was bad times. It was really bad times for NIP, and now they're coming at the end of the tunnel. They see the light at the end of it. They've gone through so many changes. They've revamped their roster. They're bringing new players, young players, and the whole scenario is just really positive. It is really positive. Sure, they lose to FaZe, but they can be proud. They can be happy about what they're doing, where they're going, and listening to Threat, I cannot help but feel like they're in the right direction. I think they have the right work ethic, they have the right mindset for it, and the future is bright for them.
Now, Jacob, let's just piggyback on that for a second. When we talk to Threat every time, he's got honest to God, some of the best answers I could have possibly asked for any of the questions we threw his way. I mean, he has done a little desk work. I think it maybe comes with the territory. But nonetheless, he has the answers, it seems, for NiP over there. What's your take on that?
I think he for NIP is what Zeus was for Team Liquid back in 2016. He comes into a lineup that has a lot of potential. He comes into a lineup where he can instantly see that the players got a lot of skill. He just needs to find a way to facilitate that skill and make it consistent and make it work within a unit, sort of. Zeus did the same thing with Liquid in 2016. He came into a team that showed a lot of potential. Elise, you know, back then, one of the most skilled players. I think you can somewhat make the reference to Plopsky these days and Nork, you know, players that has the potential to be just as good as Elise in the future if they can get the right guidance. And I think Threat is perfect for that. So yeah, I 100% agree with Maniac and you when you're saying that Threat is a key to this success in NIP. And I think NIP, as of right now, they're slowly but surely getting better by every single game they play. And to me, it's one of the most interesting teams to look out for in 2020.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly where we can leave that one, too. You talk a little bit about one of the exciting teams. Well, the excitement doesn't even stop within the European region of things. Of course, over in North America, we've had a couple of showdowns of our own, and some of those have netted us some victors in the form of Furia, finding that rhythm. We knew they would. We knew they could, and then they finally did it. Let's talk a little bit about the North American side of things.
Yeah, well, actually, to my surprise, because I had seen Furia play last week and they had been absolutely mind-blowing. Honestly, Furia looked to be the team on form, the one in shape, the one that actually was sitting in a throne of being absolute favorite as far as I'm concerned. And yesterday, Jacob, you were working the match. You can confirm it. They had to sweat. They really had to go the distance to beat Other Thieves. And I thought they would just smash them, but that wasn't the case.
No, the Thieves played well yesterday. I think they showed up. JKS in particular did his very best impression of Saibu, I'd say. I think he finished on plus 30 and a rating of 1.45, and the next mate on his lineup had plus 2 or something. So there was only one player really individually stepping it up for the Thieves. And they did make Furia sweat. I think Art yesterday, you see him on your screen right here, he had some good moments, but he also had a rough time on train. And I think Furia is a team that relies a lot on Art. When he's feeling good, when he's having a great game and he's reading the game well, we know him to be potentially the best entry fragger in the world, or at least the guy that creates the most chaos in the world on our server. So Art maybe not playing as well as he's been doing the past week was a bit of the reason why they couldn't really, go over the hurdle a little bit easier yesterday. But a win is a win, and I think Furia still is the best North American team we have right now.
So we talk about all the differences of, this team versus that team, and, okay, well, here's another X factor for you. We're playing online. I kind of want to run it by you guys after this part 3 that we're about to watch, and really kind of hone in and talk about some of those differences. And then perhaps, if we're lucky, we can put all of that to rest. We can put it all away and never, ever talk about it again. And then that'll just be that. Let's talk about online versus LAN.
Well, obviously...
When you play online, like some teams, they like to play more aggressive, and they don't have the terms of pressure on their side because they are playing at home. So if they lose, they're gonna say, okay, we get the next one. But when you play on the LAN, they kind of play more afraid, so to commit for the plays. So online is kind of hard for us because we have like so many good players inside the team, and in general we don't play good online, especially because it's hard to practice a little bit when you are like far from everyone. So sometimes you cannot fix the mistakes really easily than when you do a boot camp.
Kills on the back of it. It's only AZ. Oh dear, how's this one slipped away from North? Someone's going to get on the bomb, and AZ is They line up for him, and it's 3 for AZ.
Yeah, obviously it's a little bit, I would say, for a team which is more comfortable on LAN, it's a little bit harder to play online because many people tend to feel more comfortable in the situation itself. Like when you play 10 hours each day in your room, you feel really comfortable by doing what you do, and you tend to do maybe more risky plays which you wouldn't do when you're in a comfortable situation. So basically, I think it's a really hard situation overall for every team.
Oh, it's good damage. Yes, not bad. Blast in. He can really shine now. Nice. Couple of kills, not so bad. 2 on 2.
Got them into the even keel. Taps. Oh my goodness. That doesn't even count through the smoke, but it sure as hell looked like it. Brokey. Oh, he's tapped. Tabson. You're nasty.
I mean, I think the online part for us, it's better because they give more space for us to work on our mistakes, like between matches. Different online because the schedule's like really tight. I would say the pressure part nowadays not that much, because I think we just are getting like the whole experience playing a lot of LANs, and it just becomes something like normal for us, I would say.
It's definitely different. You can see so many top teams struggling, both in NA, in Europe, everywhere. Even in CIS, Navi is struggling because everyone is playing so good online, and it seems like the top teams are not playing the greatest online. The reasoning, I'm not sure why, but it is how it is at the moment.
I really enjoy playing online as well, and it's a little bit of a different feeling because many people tend to peak more, tend to be more aggressive than they should be, and of course it's a really good adaptation, and maybe we'll see some of these things also on LAN.
Yeah, and just as simple as that. I mean, we hear from the player side of things about playing online, but perhaps now we get the chance to really quickly comment and maybe insert one final word in there. If you had one final thing to say about online CS, what would it be?
Stop complaining, play the game, win your games, and move on.
I'll say history will remember the winners, is all. We'll remember who wins.
So both of those are good notions to go off of. You could see that right there. And ultimately, you have to prove yourself on the proven ground given. You don't just get to select the battleground where you fight. And that's what we have right now. We are going to be fighting, and we're going to continue to fight throughout these brackets. But first, I want to make sure I give a warm welcome and moreover, a very appreciative thank you to those that made this possible. And that would be the sponsors of the DreamHack Masters 2020 here in the springtime. We're looking at Corsair, Monster Energy, Intel, DTS, Betway, and the 5G providers that are AT&T that have also given us Lily, but not given us Sarah, and that's unfortunate. We'll have to go back to it, guys. I know you want to talk about Sarah. I want to talk about Lily. I want to talk about them fighting each other or whatever. But now we go to a break. We come back. We start to digest and look at Navi versus FaZe. So welcome to the Navi versus FaZe waiting room, everybody. We'll be right back.